Among other things, the best word to describe internet fame is that it's fleeting. Today, you could go viral, getting over 1 million subscribers in less than a month. But tomorrow, you can lose it all and more. A single slip of the tongue, a comment said in passing, or maybe even a post you made in your youth could be your downfall. Not to mention that the pressure to stay relevant is even bigger when you're at the top. Today, we take a look at one such story starring TikTok sweetheart Charli D'Amelio. But before we get into the video, thumbs up, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Who is Charli D'Amelio? If you don't already know, Charli is widely known as the biggest name on TikTok, with over 100 million followers at her peak. She was actually the first TikToker to reach that mark. Born and raised in Connecticut, the 17-year-old spent her early life being a competitive dancer before making waves on the platform in May of 2019. Her content on the platform is quintessential TikTok, with dance videos, lip-sync covers, and a daily vlog. Since then, she's only gone uphill with invites to Sony Music's management company, United Talent Agency, and even an appearance in a Super Bowl commercial. So what happened? A lot of you guys have probably heard of this incident by now, but it remains to be a cautionary tale of how fickle the internet is if you're not careful enough. Before TikTok's darling star, Charli, had finally gained the coveted 100 million sub mark, there was a point last year in November where everyone and their mothers were hating on her. The source of backlash was an episode of her popular web series, Dinner with the D'Amelios. For those who don't know, both Charli and her sister, Dixie, have found fame on the platform, so naturally, their parents would occasionally join in on the fun too. They become like the very low-key Kardashians of the TikTok world. Anyway, for the title of the series, the family would have their usual dinner with a special guest. For this particular episode, they had called in their friend and fellow famous influencer, James Charles, who also had his own fair share of online drama. It looked just like any other episode of the series, with some lively banter between the stars. Except Charli gets into a conversation with James about her current follower count, complaining that it's not enough at 95 million, and she wanted to get it to 100 million within the year, just so that it would be an even number. Okay? So many people were turned off, saying that Charli was an ungrateful brat. But that's just the beginning. It turned for the worse when dinner came. Being the internet celebrities that they are, they hired a professional chef to prepare their dinner. As Chef May was presenting and explaining their menu for the evening, Charli wasn't even paying attention and instead was making faces. The dish of the evening was a luxurious but still very homely Spanish paella. Sounds and looks delicious, but that's not what both Charli and Dixie thought as they took turns looking disgusted at the food. Eventually, the camera zooms in on Dixie's gagging and picking at a snail on her plate. The chef tried to explain the intricacies of the dish and how the snail is a classic ingredient of the paella and how it's, quote, actually an omen of good luck and fortune, end quote. But instead of being polite and just setting it aside, the older D'Amelio tried eating it, claiming it was tasty before dramatically spitting it out and leaving the room saying she needed to throw up outside. Then it cuts to Charli asking for some Dino nuggets instead. This all happened in front of the chef, of course. But they had their parents with them, right? So surely they'd been reprimanded or grounded for their behavior at some point. That's actually one of the many reasons this episode had gotten more hate. When Dixie left the room to throw up, Mrs. D'Amelio then says, "Classic Dixie," like it was nothing, and they couldn't do anything about their disrespectful and obnoxious behavior. And if I did that at my family's dinner table, my mom would have surely kicked my butt. Anyway, when Dixie finally returns, she comments that there was a salty part in the paella that made her throw up, and that the whole thing tasted like chicken. She turns to the chef and asks him, quote, "You have a child. What do you think is going to happen?" End quote. Okay, we're not sure if comparing yourself to a literal child that throws up anytime they eat something they don't like really lacks tact. Even babies have a better tolerance. But what's done is done. Outrage and cancel culture. The rude behavior and the arrogant comments were so blatant that it was kind of obvious how the whole fiasco was an entire comedy skit, which it obviously was if you watched the whole episode, though the comedy part was questionable. Plus, that was clearly the intention behind it. Unfortunately, there were people who didn't find it funny at all. Someone had even edited and cut the original video, compiled all the disrespectful acts the sisters did that night, and posted it on the internet. The resulting 15-second video instantly spread, causing waves after waves of backlash and outrage among the fans, and people on the internet in general. It didn't matter if it was a joke, or if it was just a cut from the original, or how the whole team was made aware of the skit. or even how James defended the sisters and explained the situation. The entire ordeal was tasteless to a lot of fans, and some people were actually pissed. Netizens sent hate messages in every platform they thought the D'Amelios would see. Meanwhile, other TikTok personalities had a field day covering the development of the story. In addition to all the hate flung at them, Charli started losing thousands of followers in a matter of hours. She eventually lost more than 1 million in a day, almost beating out James Charles' record for most followers lost in a day. At press time, her followers had gone down from 99.4 million to 98.5 million, while Dixie was left with a fraction of her original following count. Owning up to the hate. There's not a lot you could do when you're getting blasted from all sides like the D'Amelio sisters. But one thing's for sure, you have to at least address the issue. Dixie had explained that the snail incident was actually planned by her team, who was aware of her aversions to snails. She said it was a prank on her, and the team just wanted to get her reaction. In a TikTok post, she says, quote, "I'm so grateful for every single person that follows me, every single person I care about, every single person I work with, every single person who works with me, because I'm just so grateful for all the opportunities I've had," she said on TikTok. "I would never in any way want to be taken as disrespectful, especially from an out-of-context 15-second clip. I love Chef May, and I would never disrespect him in any way. Maybe don't judge someone's personality over a 15-second video," end quote, she said on TikTok. On the other hand, Charli was overwhelmed by the death threats she was receiving and posted an apology video addressing the issue, while broken and crying. The TikTok star said she would take the hurtful words, but the threats were so mean and unnecessary. We sometimes forget that these stars are but teenagers, but at the same time, it's because they're teenagers that they're prone to childish skits and humor like this. Still, the hate was indeed overwhelming, but sadly, that's how fame works sometimes. Granted, there are fans that still supported them and accepted their apologies, which is why the issue did eventually die down. Last we checked, things have all but gone back to normal, and Charli remains to be at the top. And that's it for this story, guys. So what did you guys think? Sound off in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, thumbs up, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for future updates. Until next time.